What are the 5 needs she buried just to be chosen? And will she ever realize that the true choice is to meet herself? Beneath the surface of many women's lives lies a quiet soil, dense with unspoken yearnings and carefully buried needs. She moves through the world, an ocean of calm on the surface, yet beneath her stillness churns a storm of hidden desires, longing to be seen, heard, safe, and cherished. These needs are not frivolous whims, but sacred calls from the deepest chambers of her being. Yet in the desire to be chosen, to be worthy in the eyes of another, she laid them to rest beneath layers of silence and compliance. Imagine her as the archetype of the grounded woman, steady, reliable, her presence a balm to others. She offers safety in her quiet strength. Yet the man who stands beside her is caught in his own shadows, projecting unmet needs onto her, expecting her to fill voids he cannot name. His emotional absence becomes a silent echo in her world, and the soil of her buried needs grows heavier. She senses it, but remains tethered by the ancient bindings of attachment, fearing that to unearth herself is to risk losing the fragile connection she clings to. This is the first turning point, the paradox of emotional safety. She craves it, yet the cost of seeking it externally demands she surrender pieces of herself. The Stoic lesson waits here, whispered on the wind. Strength is not in surrender, but in the quiet courage to face what lies beneath. When the woman begins to question the unspoken rules of her own containment, she steps toward a fragile boundary, a soft, trembling no that marks the start of reclaiming her worth. As she confronts the second turning point, esteem wrestles with invisibility. To be chosen meant dimming her light, blending into shadows where her true self might remain unseen. Maslow teaches us that esteem is born not from external praise, but from the internal recognition of one's own value. Yet, this woman has traded her radiant self for acceptance, and the ache of invisibility coils deep within her chest. The trauma of being unseen wounds the soul, yet it also holds a strange invitation to awaken, to insist on being known fully without apology. Her emotional magnetism pulses quietly in the background, a force untouched by the man's unmet expectations. It is a pulse of self-trust, of authentic self-worth that cannot be diminished by another's neglect. And so, she approaches the third turning point, detachment. It is not coldness, but a slow unwrapping of dependency, a tender severing of the invisible cords that tether her identity to his approval. In this space, she learns the paradox of freedom. To be fully chosen by another, she must first choose herself. The fourth turning point arrives with the layering of inner healing, an unraveling of attachment wounds written deep into her psyche. Each buried need unearthed becomes a sacred relic of self-actualization. The woman discovers that the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's enduring architecture of human desire, is not a ladder she must climb for others, but a sacred path. She walks alone, hand in hand with her own truth. Emotional safety becomes an inner fortress, esteem a blossoming garden of self-respect and self-actualization, the quiet flowering of her soul's unique promise. In this flowering, her story mirrors the timeless feminine archetype, the wild woman who lives fiercely in her own light, untamed and unbound by external expectation. Her magnetism is no longer a call for validation, but a beacon of wholeness. She no longer waits in shadowed corners of hope. She stands in the stillness of her own becoming, a radiant silhouette against the horizon of her own possibility. And so, she reaches the final moment of liberation, The woman who no longer waits isn't angry. She's simply full. If her story stirred something inside you, if you feel the pull to unearth your own buried needs and rise into your fullest self, join this circle of quiet revolution. Subscribe. And together, we will explore the terrain of feminine strength, emotional clarity, and self-love. Because the world needs your light, fully unburied.